Would we rather hear young people speaking and acting out those type of principles or shooting each other and killing them on the street? What should we be teaching our young people? If we teach our young people that we are gods, children of the Most High God, it's very hard to point a gun and squeeze the trigger when you see yourself looking at God. One of the things that we have to do is go back to what we were taught, or what we know of the Scripture, even whether we were taught in that way or not. But we know instinctively that this is right. Am I right? Y'all all right?
Yes.
Spiritually, how do you embrace the skin that you're in? You first got to start with God. I am a God. I'm not a boy. I'm not a girl. I'm a God. And His presence lives within me. So if I am God, then I'm the best of His creation, then I can only put the best food in my body. I can only put the best thoughts in my mind. I can only open up the best books. I can only look at the television shows and movie shows that feed me in being and becoming God. So spiritually, the first thing I have to do is start with God. But what about mentally? Mentally, it's not much different, because mentally to know, y'all all right? Everybody all right?
Yes.
One of the things that Reverend Bevel talked about all the time, and he's a very scientific teacher, he said, the mind of man works like a train while on the track. He said the mind of man runs on a train that's called thought. And if the mind begins with the definition, who I am, and moves towards its purpose, why I'm here, then that mind and other minds function in a way that those minds can move down the track together and accomplish a particular purpose. But the first thing we have to have is a common definition of who we are. Not he's a black stone, he's disciple, not they're Christian, they're Muslim, not he's from the east side, or he's from the west side, or he's from the south side, but to have a common definition of who I am, and then that mind, or those minds, have to be fed every step of the way. We've seen the railroad ties that go across the railroad track. That mind has to be fed on truth every step of the way. And every truth that mind receives, it will go a step further on towards its purpose. When we talk to young people, when we teach young people who they are and then begin to feed them truth, young people respond in a way that delights them. And that's why I love doing what I do. Because what I do and what I love to do and what my purpose in life is to give life. And Minister Farrakhan said once, and I said, man, that makes a really lot of sense. He said to a group of young people, he said, what you love to do and what you do well and what other people recognize you as doing well is probably your purpose in life. And if you seek to learn about your purpose and do your purpose, then you will have happiness and you will find unbelievable pleasure, even heaven in this life. Because when you do your purpose, when you find your purpose, fulfill your purpose, and work on your purpose in life, it ain't fun. It's not fun. You can be tired. You can be exhausted. But when it's time for you to do what you do fulfills your spirit. It energizes your mind, and it energizes your life. If the mind is fed truth to truth, that mind will go straight on to its purpose. The problem comes about when something is interjected in the mind which causes an absolute disaster on a mental level. Whenever a lie is introduced into the mind the mind jumps the track of thought, ceases to become a mind, and becomes what we call an imagination. And that imagination does no longer live in what this is called the world of reality, but that world, that mind then lives in a world of illusion. And so nothing then makes sense after the lie is introduced, because everywhere in this imagination is where poverty shows up. That's where drug addiction shows up. That's where violence shows up. That's where sexual assault and abuse shows up. That's where neglect and abandonment shows up. When this mind hits that lie and ceases to become a mind that becomes an imagination, we're no longer calculating the truth. Because the mind is nothing but a calculator. If you feed a calculator the right information, it doesn't have a choice but to calculate based on the information that's put into it. Because it has equations that it works off of that are correct. So as long as the mind is fed truth, the mind does not err. The mind errors when it is introduced, when a lie is introduced, or when the absence of the truth is introduced to the mind, and the mind takes it as the truth. So we, on a mental level, have been fed many what? And it is very difficult for us to embrace ourselves. Man. Look at that bee over there. This is how the brothers talk about. That bee over there, man. Y'all excuse me for a second. Y'all excuse me for a second. Say something good brother said. Don't hit that. If I see myself as a dog, because I've never been taught. Y'all all right? We're going to end it on up in a minute. But if I see myself as a dog, because I've never been taught that I am what? See, Satan has a way of turning everything backwards. He makes good seem bad, up seem down, right seem wrong. And although we are gods, he has us thinking that we what? So if I'm a male and I'm a dog, then I naturally see my female as what? That's a problem that we have. That's a problem. Why are our women disrespected? Why are we talking about sexual assault and abuse? Because we have not taught our children who we really are. We have not taught our children in a way that Satan couldn't come in and turn us around. But that's Satan's job, right? And Christ said there was a time coming that we would know and be exposed to all truth. And all of the lies would be done away with. There's enough information in the world today, but we have to go beyond our comfort zone. Mentally, and here's the question, mentally, we have to go beyond our comfort zone. So they're telling you know, all the truth that you need to know, you can find it in the Bible. Yeah, that's true to an extent. It's true that anything that you come across, any principle, anything of value, any law, anything that is real in the universe of science and physics and mathematics, you'll find the root of it in the scriptures. You can find it in the Old Testament, in the New Testament. However, our comfort zone has to be expanded. Don't let anybody tell you. You know, I talk to brothers all the time that live in Chicago, and we started out in our male involvement program. We started out in 35th State. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with that. But that's where all of the projects used to be up and downstate, the Ickies and Robert Taylors. We worked with many brothers who didn't go past State Street on one side, King Drive on another, 35th on one end, and 39th on the other. So they stayed between a 4-block radius. Because, man, we don't go outside of that. This our turf right here. This our block right here. You know, come on this block. This our. I don't own nothing on this block. I don't own a house. I don't own a tree. I don't own a blade of grass. But it's mine. I'm going to die for this. Die for it. I'm going to die for it. Don't let nobody tell you not to expand your life and your horizons and read beyond what they have introduced to you. Because Jesus said, the other sheep have I that are not of this fold. Well, how you going to become introduced to them sheep if you don't get out the fold that you used to be in it? I ain't telling you leave the fold. I'm just saying leave. Expose yourself. So that when your children come back and say, Mama, I learned such and such and so and so, you can say, well, you know, son, I read about that. Let me tell you what I understand. But when our children go out from among us, oftentimes our children experience something outside that they weren't getting at home. And if we don't widen our perspective so that we can engage in knowledgeable discussion, intelligent discussion with our children about what they are encountering, because today, with social media, see, back in the day when I was coming up, and I'm not that old, but when I was growing up, you know, if I got on the telephone, there was one phone in the house. There was no cell phone. There was no Facebook. There was none of that. So if I got on the phone, everybody in the house knew it. And Mama said, you got 20 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. Get off the phone because I'm paying the bill. You ain't got nothing to say about that because we don't pay no bills in this house. Well, today, all the high school students have cell phones. All the high school students not only have on Facebook, but they got the Facebook app on the phone. So they are instantly accessible to all of their friends and to the world. So if we don't broaden our horizons mentally so that we understand what they are going to encounter, when they encounter something good, we'll say it's bad. When they encounter something bad, we'll think it's good. Because if we don't know, then we will be saying things to our children that are backwards, that lead them in a direction and their mind to calculate in a way that doesn't make any sense. Not that we intend to, but we can't leave the door open for Satan to come in and give us information. Now, I'm going to wrap this up. We did spiritual, mental. Now, emotionally, we got to give Sister Jacquees a hand. Y'all don't mind? Because emotionally, we have been ravaged as a people.